Hi, I'm Wendy with H2OBungalow.com. Today I'm going to show you how to build a simple freestanding pantry, storage, or closet. I've been making over my kitchen and dining area for the past several months. After I painted the kitchen cabinets, updated the island, made over the hollow core door with chevron overlay, and built the dining table, I realized we still needed more storage. Sending out a special thanks to Wagner's new Flexio 3500 paint sprayer for sponsoring this project. You can read my instructions and get my supply list for this project at h2obungalow.com, search pantry. There's also a link to my website in this YouTube video description. You'll need a table saw or circular saw, drill, brad nailer, pocket hole jig, hidden hinge jig, and a tape measure for this project. You'll also need plywood, 1x2s, edge banding, hidden hinges, a door handle, and shelf pins. And for the perfect paint finish, you'll need a Flexio 3500 paint sprayer, a Wagner large paint shelter, latex paint, drop cloths, cheesecloth, a respirator, face mask, and safety goggles. Alrighty then, so let's get started. From the 3/4 inch sheet of plywood, cut two sides at 22 inches by 74, and then the top and the bottom at 15 by 22 inches. With the 1/2 inch sheet of plywood, cut the door at 14.5 by 73 inches, the back at 15 by 74 inches, the fixed shelf at 21.25 by 14 5/8 inches, and 4 movable shelves at 21.25 inch by 14 5/8. To keep organized, I always mark the cut pieces, which one is the outside, the front, back, and where I'll place the pocket holes in advance. So you won't see the pocket holes. They will be located at the top, bottom, and back of the outside of this cabinet project. You'll set the pocket hole jig to the thinnest material you are joining. I used 1/2 inch for the back and the bottom of my pantry. It would have been better to use the 3/4 inch for the entire shell. I've modified my tutorial to go with the better choices here. Starting with the top and the bottom of the cabinet, on the side that faces out, add 3 sets of pocket holes along the sides. Use the A and C position in the pocket hole jig. Next, add pocket holes to the outside back. Add 5 sets of pocket holes along each side and 2 sets at each end. Long boards are easier to work with when they are propped up at each end, especially when working single-handedly. Next, add a row of shelf pin holes to the front and rear of the inside side panels. It's easy with a pinhole jig. You can also use all fixed shelves if you don't have a shelf pin jig. You can see I added my shelf pin holes after assembling my cabinet base, but it's so much easier to do first. With 1.5 inch pocket screws, attach the top and the bottom piece to one of the sides. Now attach the back of the pantry to the side, top, and the bottom. Next, you'll add the other side of the pantry. A good trick to keeping the boards flush to connect them is to clamp a spare piece of plywood on the inside of the cabinet. It will push the back portion out and helps line up the boards to add the screws. Now you'll add the fixed center shelf. Add pocket holes to the 2 sides and attach with 1 inch pocket screws. You'll set your jig at 1/2 inch since this is 1/2 inch material connecting to a 3/4 inch material. I have a space for cords running down the back of this shelf, which is why there's a gap. Now cut the frame face out of 1x2s to the length of the cabinet. Place the 2 sides first so they are flush with the outside of the cabinet base. Attach with wood glue and 1 inch brad nails. Follow the same steps for the top and the bottom of the front of the cabinet. Use wood filler to fill the nail holes and lightly sand the surfaces when it dries. Vacuum the cabinet and the pinholes to get sawdust out before painting. Now we'll move on to the door. I made a chevron overlay for my door. I won't go into how I made this here, but you can find that tutorial on my website at h2obungalow.com, search bifold door. Whether you choose to overlay your door or keep it plain, you'll want to add edge banding to the outside of the door. It will cover up the rough edges of the plywood. Iron it on and use an edge band trimmer to take off the excess wood. You can use different types of hidden hinges. You'll have 4 hinges on a door this long. Mine are 3/4 inch face frame hidden hinges, and I used a hinge jig to install them. There are also hidden hinges that do not need a jig, and they're easy to install too. You'd install these after the door and the cabinet are both painted. I placed my hinges on the right side so my door will open to the right. Now you're ready to paint. If you haven't yet, lightly sand all of the surfaces, including the shelves. Run a tack cloth over everything to remove the sawdust and any dust on your wood before painting. Set up your area to paint with drop cloths and elevate the door on sawhorses with boards underneath. I used my Wagner paint shelter to protect my newly painted cabinet base and protect the surrounding area from overspray. When elevating items to paint, be sure nothing touches the outer edge of the surface and you won't have paint pulling at your edges. The 3500 Flexio paint sprayer includes 2 nozzles, the eye spray nozzle for spraying broad surfaces like walls and the detail finish nozzle for spraying a smooth, fine finish on projects like cabinets and furniture. I'll use the detail finish nozzle today. Using the Flexio 3500 is easy. Attach the spray tip and container to the motor. Adjust the paint flow from the dial on the handle. The off and on switch is on the side. Adjust the airflow on the top and the spray pattern at the nozzle. And then you'll pull the trigger to start the paint flow. My paint was already diluted to the consistency I needed for another project. Since it was used before, I strained it with cheesecloth while pouring it into the container so it wouldn't spray my clog tip with paint clumps. Always do a test spray to adjust the paint flow before starting to paint. Use masking paper and toss it when done. Don't forget to wear your safety gear when painting. A face mask and safety goggles are always a must. To get the best paint finish, hold the sprayer about 6 inches from the surface. Move the sprayer as you move your body or arm in steady, even passes from one end to the other of your painting project. Be sure to paint the sides and the ends. You'll paint inside the cabinet first, and then the outside, and last the trim at the top. Give everything 2 coats of paint, including the shelves. Allow the paint to dry, and then bring indoors and let sit overnight before moving on. Now add the hinges to the door according to the manufacturer's instructions. When attaching the inside of the hinge to the face frame, it helps to lay the cabinet on its side and place blocks of wood under the door to elevate it while connecting the hinge to the face frame. Stand the cabinet up to add the door handle. My handle is 41 inches from the floor and 1.5 inches in from the door edge to match my other chevron door in the kitchen. Adding the door handle is easy. Use painter's tape to mark the distance of the handle screws. Place a piece of tape over the ends of the handle and push a pencil through the screw locations. Then place the tape on the door and mark where you've pushed through the tape and the drill holes for the handles. Last, you'll add the shelf pins and place the shelves where you'd like them on the inside. You can also add furniture feet to your cabinet, but I chose not to. If you liked my project, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my blog while you're there too. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next creative DIY project.